Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another character analysis for Marvel Contest of Champions. Today we have yet another character that is missing a lot of love and desperately needs to be revisited and reworked. And you see him on the screen, it's Rhino. Rhino is a very large character who you would think hits incredibly hard, but unfortunately that just is not the case. So let's take a look at how he works in the current iteration, and then I'll give a couple of pitches for things that I think could be done to really improve this character. Before we do that, make sure you check to see if you are subscribed to the channel. If you're not, go ahead and fix that for me. Don't forget to leave a like on today's video if you found it helpful and or enjoyable. And without further ado, let's talk a bit more about Rhino. So Rhino's base abilities they make sense, but they're pretty lackluster. So Rhino passively has an additional armor rating because of his thick Rhino hide, and it varies based off of the rarity and the overall strength of the character, so the more you level him up, the more armor he is going to have. But it's not really anything super crazy. He also has a 10% chance to gain a Fury buff that lasts for 6.5 seconds anytime he is receiving an attack. And Rhino will trigger a Fury effect by using a medium attack to end a 5-hit combo. So if you cycle through his combos efficiently, you will always have that Fury active, especially if you're looking to chain a special attack out of his standard hit combo. Just make sure that that 5th hit is a combo finishing medium before transitioning and or chaining on your special attack abilities. When Rhino dashes in on an opponent, he will become unstoppable when dashing in that direction. And he does have to have a decent amount of space or a run-up to access that character. But as long as he's got that little trajectory, he will have that unstoppable applied. And from that same dash attack, he has a certain percentage chance to become unblockable while he's dashing in on that attack. And that has an increased chance the smaller the opponent is. So for example, if you are running in against somebody like Hulk, Venom, one of the large opponents in the roster, then you're going to have less of a likelihood to trigger that unblockable on your dash attack, whereas if you are dashing in against someone like Spider-Man, Rocket Raccoon, or other tiny characters, you're going to have a much easier time in getting that. You're going to have a much more likely chance of getting that unblockable to trigger. The only other noteworthy item in Rhino's current iteration, without looking at his special attacks, is of course the passive ability, which basically just further enhances Rhino's resistance based off of how much of the signature ability you have. But it's very, very negligible, all things considered. Sure, it helps his survivability in the short term, but it really doesn't do anything super crazy for him. It's kind of pitiful, if you ask me. Now, if we do want to talk a little bit about the abilities that he has, his first ability or special attack. Now, if we do want to talk about the special attacks that he has, his first attack is somewhat unpredictable, where it'll send a cascade of rocks coming up from the ground, and you can still get caught off guard by it, but as soon as you've got the timing down on it, you really don't have anything to worry about. His second special attack involves a bunch of melee hits, which are decent in their damage. It's nothing super crazy. It will help Rhino make up quite a bit of ground if he falls back behind, but it's really nothing that can't be accomplished outside of his standard dash attacks. And it's very easy to get away from. As long as you're clear of that first hit, you have no reason to be concerned about getting hit by the rest of them. And finally, his Special 3 ability. I actually like the animation, or the way that it looks, so I don't really have a whole lot of complaints about that, but I wouldn't hate it if the character was reworked a little bit to be a little more animated in terms of those attacks that he doles out. So, what do I think could be done to benefit Rhino? Well, as science characters are meant to be counters to the mystic enemies within the game, and a lot of mystic characters have really annoying mechanics. A prime example is magic, where she has her limbo state that will activate based off of her power filled up. And based off of the fact that Rhino is canonically over 700 pounds, he's a very, very heavy character, I feel that it's not outside of the realm of believability that if Rhino were to dash into you, especially if you're able to break through your opponent's block with one of those dash attacks, to have a concussion trigger on the opponent, lowering their ability accuracy. And I don't feel like a 10 to 15 second concussion would be out of the realm of believability with a 50% or 60% reduction in that ability accuracy would be too far out of the question. Additionally, I think that it would be interesting to have the indestructible horn that he has on the top of his head have some sort of either bleed mechanic or armor break or something to really help him cut through the defenses and opponents that he comes up against. It really would do wonders for his character if he had something to that degree. I even think that it would be acceptable for his heavy attack to have something in that nature, or apply a heavier bleed and or armor break if you rework his heavy attack to be kind of a lumbering headbutt instead of an uppercut with that massive arm that he has. Those are all kind of options that I'm seeing and looking at when it comes to reworking and overhauling this character. I don't think that he needs to be visually redesigned, but he could certainly be reanimated and given a lot more love based off of how big he is, how intimidating he is, and bring him a little bit more into the foreground. I don't foresee Rhino ever becoming a character that breaks the game meta, but I could be wrong, and if I am, please, Kabam, pleasantly surprise me with what you seek to do in reworking and revamping this character to make him more relevant than he currently is, or has been over this life cycle of this entire game. But what do you think? Do you agree with my thoughts for reworking Rhino? Do you think that there are other things that could be done with this character? Or do you think that I'm just dreaming wildly? Be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Again, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you leave that like, and don't forget to subscribe for that daily variety content. Take care, everyone, and I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day.